Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Ratazar Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, when they give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect. Just a quick one on the shameful spewings of these Edomites, and the reason why there's going to be a transition of power in these last days from the wicked that's ruling on high, being these so-called white people, biblically known as the Edomites, spawn of Esau, the seed of Satan, basically on the earth, and to the righteous seed, being Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, which represents you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, starting with the elect. And this is a battle that's been going on since the beginning of time, so to speak, between the righteous seed and the wicked seed, being Jacob v. Esau. And we're always going to be enemies from the womb to the tomb. And this is just another, example of why these so-called white people are never to be trusted. As the scripture says, never trust thine enemy, and they're never supposed to be in positions of power because they'll do ill dealings, man. They're treacherous dealers and habitual liars, and the seed that's in them is just of pure evil, pure wickedness, man. It tells you in Proverbs 16:4, the Lord created all things, even the wicked, for the day of destruction. So, these last days, it's pivotal in prophecy. We're going to see the demise of these so-called white people finally get a taste of their own medicine and lose the power that they once had in this world, and go into slavery where they belong, being the basis of men, natural born slaves, under the natural born rulers and successors of this earth, which are the children of Israel. Start with our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. So this is a tweet from Rebecca Jones, an actual Edomite in the picture. She might be a Jake, who knows, but her name's Rebecca Jones at Geo Rebecca. And she said, despite making up only 28% of the USA population, FBI data shows that white men are 55% of kidnappers, 56% of rapists, should I say, 58% of mass shooters, the Bob Swaggers and all of that shooters, 59% of, child corn arrests, 62% of statutory rapists, pedos, the torpedo crew and all that. That's Esau Edom to the T. 63% of prostitution solicitors, 68% of 34 NFA offenders, and it says 75% of incest perpetrators. So this is the spirit of Esau Edom, as the scripture is going to say. I'm going to read in Habakkuk 2:4. The spirit that's in him is not upright in him, because these devils have a vile spirit that's in him, man. That's why the Lord, made them the way they are, because they're the seed of the wicked on the earth. Going back to their forefather Cain, who was the first murderer on the face of the earth, before the flood. Murdered his brother in cold blood. He was the first murderer, not the first liar, but he was one of the first liars. Going back to the garden with the serpent, that's the spirit of the so-called white man that back then became in this, with cunning devised fables as a serpent. And he had melanin back then. But when he came back in a reincarnation as Cain with his brother Abel, the Lord stripped him of his pigment and he lost his melanin, so to speak, to mark the man, basically the man of sin. And that's why these devils today, they call themselves clean lepers, or according to the scriptures, they will be called clean lepers. They suffer from a skin disorder called leprosy, which they lack melanin from birth. That's how Esau came out of the womb. From his mother, Rebecca, funny enough. This woman's name is Rebecca Jones. As I said, I don't know if she's an Israelite or not, but who knows? We'll find out when in due time, due season, when the harvest comes. But funny enough, Isaac and Rebecca brought forth the seeds of the two adversaries of this earth, basically. Number one nations on this earth, basically, Jacob and Esau. Said the one shall serve the younger, the elder shall serve the younger, one shall be stronger than the other. Which these devils are weak-minded, they're weak by nature. Even the way they look with that skin disorder called leprosy makes them deficient with, certain minerals and all that. And they're weak by nature, man. They're the weaker specimen, so to speak, rather than Jacob, which represents a man of strength and abilities, so to speak, godlike abilities. So we are a nation of gods. So this is just a quick example of why these devils are losing their grip on the world, because they're the seed of the wicked, man. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, and it's funny enough that all these major crimes on the face of the so like all these major crimes on the face of the earth are conducted mainly by these so-called white people, man, because they're savages. They're the real savages on the face of the earth, man. A virus, a cancer, that needs to be plucked out, basically put out, eradicated, and soon will, after they lose their kingdom and serve penalty of 1,000 years of hardcore slavery. Then they're going to be Obadiah 1 and 18, man. They're going to be deleted from off the face of the earth. They're going to be deleted by way of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and the children of Israel. So this is just part of the examples, and there's many more things that these devils have done throughout history, atrocious behavior, so to speak, showing you that these devils, this is shameful spewings on their glory, and everything they do is by ill-gotten gains, man. It's just John 10 and 10, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and to destroy, man. It says Habakkuk 2 and 4 says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not right in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yes, the spirit that's in the so-called white people is not upright, man. It's totally upside down, perverted. And also they mix the perverse spirit in the leaders of Egypt, modern day leaders of Egypt, the cruel lord of these Edomites, man. Namely, in particular, you got your guy Caesar Trump, Caesar Nero, King Trump in office, and he's an Edomite, man. And the spirit that's in him and these oligarchs and these cabal that he follows, the spirit that's in them is not upright. They're part of all the reason why there's so much crime and so much wickedness going on the earth, because they got a perverse spirit, man. So also because of transgression, he transgresseth by wine, his philosophies, and he makes other nations drink of them and what that strong drink, that wine, to fall in line basically with his demonocracy, as they call it, democracy, worldwide, even if it means enabling the straight up wickedness, like advocating for same-sex marriages and so on and so forth, and all that straight sodomy and all these things. But even now, Trump's come out and said that he's putting it on the books that there's only two so-called two genders, and going back to from Genesis, the Lord only made two genders, which is male and female. So he's trying to say that he's put an executive order out there that there's only two genders, which is that there is only two genders anyway. That's not fucking something too hard to understand or fathom. The Lord created man, and he created woman to serve the man. So there is no other genders outside of that. But even so, these devils are professing themselves to be godly, so-called God-fearing Christians, like America, touts, so to speak. But really, they're a bunch of Satanists, man, and they worship Satan on the left-hand side. It says, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. And this is just more the track record of these so-called white people, and why they're always sticking their noses in other people's business, because they can never have enough, Even though they own most of the majority of the wealth of the world, talk about the wicked elite, it's still not enough for them. Now they want to put C-hips in everyone, and own people's body, minds, and souls, basically. It says, enlargeth he who enlargeth his desires hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but he gathereth unto himself, gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's through colonization. That's how these devils took over the whole earth, by way of the sword, which is their blessing. And they colonized the whole earth, man. They call lands by their own names, so on and so forth. And that's led to the reason why they're, very proud, and they don't see themselves losing or going down. But the Lord's gonna, says the Lord's gonna have them in derision, and he's gonna laugh, because these devils are imagining a vain thing that they're gonna rule over the children of Israel forever. It says, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, which is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So these devils are fighting a lose-lose situation, man. So that's mainly the. I was going to read the shameful experience, but I just jumped straight to Job 30 and 1. says, but now they that are younger than I, talking about Esau, Edom once again, I have me in derision. Yeah, we're in captivity under these so-called white people, as it tells you in Isaiah 3 and 12. Children are their oppressors, and women shall rule over them. It says, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with dogs in my flock. Why did Job say that? Because these predators, these savages known as so-called white people, are known worldwide for you know, not only this, cannibalism and all that stuff, but zoophilia, having sex with animals, straight up lewd acts, man, unprecedented lewd acts that these devils partake in, especially the, sex with animals and all that, man. Interrelations with animals, which you can't even do, which is a straight up abomination, filth in the sight of the Lord. But that's what these devils partake in, because they have a beast-like mindset, man. They're brute beasts by nature. That's why they even look the way they look. They look like Sasquatches, when they got a Gillette razor to their skin. They look like a bunch of Sasquatches, man. And that's their spirit, the cavemen of the earth, the cave monkeys, as I call them, the cave monkeys of the earth, man. Totally despicable and vile, as the scriptures is going to say. It says, so they was actually sleep with dogs, because that's how these bestiality, that's in their spirit, man. They got vile spirits. That's why they got the list here of all the decrepit and wicked things that these devils partake in, and it's mainly these Edomites, man. And if Jake partake in this madness, it's because they've been seduced by the way of the wicked. If they're falling for the lust of their father, the devil, basically. So the lust of their father they shall do. But mainly the seed of the wicked is talking about these so-called white people, biblically known as Edomites. And this is the type of behavior and things that they partake in, man. Especially that the Transformers and situation, the whole alphabetisms, the torpedoes and all of that nastiness, man. Kidnappings and child sex trafficking and stuff of that nature. They're heavy into that stuff, man. That goes into all the witchcraft that they partake in as well. It says, for yea, for whereunto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom of old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. Yeah, so they was cast out of society, man. Like it tells you, verse 5, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. Yeah, because they are the original thieves, man. And they can never be trusted, man. As I said earlier, Ecclesiastes 10:12 or 12 and 10, never trust thine enemy, because iron rusteth, so is their wickedness, man. So these devils have always been castaways, especially the seed of Amalek, which are them so small hat rats that are in the Lord's land right now, causing nothing but mayhem all over the face of the earth. That's going to lead America into the Third World War, ultimately, with Russia and China and all these other nations going back and forth. So they're the scum. They're the lowest of the Edomite nation, the scum of the earth, basically, the Amalekites. And so that they, these devils was cast out of society because the spirit that's in them is, utterly wicked. So they was cast into the caves of the, South Georgia, Russia, the Caucasus Mountains for a hot minute, 1,000-year period. That was their dwelling place until the Lord, basically let them come back into power through the bottomless pit, which is Spain, doing something they call the Renaissance, which means the rebirth. It says to dwell in cities, to dwell in clefts of the valleys, where what the caves of the earth, in the caves of the earth, and the rocks. That's their habitation, man. They're cave monkeys, man. They're a bunch of cave dwellers. That's why they call themselves Caucasian today. It says among the bushes they braid, under the nettles they were gathered together. It says they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, and that's the spirit that's inside Esau Edom, man. They're very vile and despicable people, man. The chul, as they call it, in Isaiah 33, it talks about the chul, the villain, speak bountifully, speak wicked things, evil things to persecute the poor. And that villain's talking about the Edomites, man. And the word chul means a scoundrel, someone of low status, someone that's not of no notability and notoriety in society, someone that's basically a peasant. And funny enough, the Rothschild family, before they call themselves the Red Shield, the Red Child, Rothschild, in Germany, their original name was Bauer, which means a peasant. So they're the chur, man, because the word chur actually means a peasant type person as well. So that's definitely talking about the wicked elite. These Edomites in general. See, so they are children of fools, yea, children of base men. They're the basest. They're the lowest of the low when it comes to all these heathen nations, man, because of the things that they partake of and the things that they do. They were violent in the earth, yeah. Because first and foremost, it was the Hamites that introduced witchcraft into society, so to speak. But Esau took it and ran with it, man. He took the baton, so to speak, and ran with it. And he's like the helm of witchcraft right now is America. Modern day mistress of witchcraft and all that. It's Babylon the Great, aka America, the land of confusion. So these devils took the baton from these Hamites that was doing all works of odious works. And as they got cast out of the land, holy land Canaan, which later became the land of Israel, they surpassed the deeds of the Hamites and took it to a whole nother level, man. That's why they worship all kinds of God. America's free of religion, and just free to just worship any deity and wood and stone. Worship animals, whatever they want to do, man. Have sex with animals. Like you see, the information's coming out about this French president, Macron or whoever it is, his so-called wife is really a transformer, and they've been hiding it for many years. But now it's come out that he married a transformer, and they're still trying to hide the information in the news. But people are investigating and finding out that, this so-called this androgynous demon is actually born a dude, you know. Biologically he's a dude, but he's portraying himself to be a woman. A straight transformer, man. So this place is utterly wicked, man. What the president of a damn country marrying a damn transformer, that's just, what are you trying to promote, man? But that's the spirit of Esau Edom. The French people over there in France are a bunch of Edomite devils anyway, so they're into that filthy, wicked type, lascivious type behavior, as the ancient Greeks and Romans were into, boy lovers and so on and so forth. So yeah, we read Jeremiah 13 and 23. So these devils can't change, can't make a crooked thing straight, because that's his nature. He's always going to be perverted, he's always going to be crooked. So that's why these devils are supposed to be in chains. They're not supposed to be in positions of power, because look what they've done to the earth, look what they've done to the mindset of the people. Look how they've corrupted and indoctrinated the children, man. The children are confused now. They don't even know what they want to be in life no more regarding their gender, because of the wickedness of the so-called white man spewing his mad philosophy in this earth, man. It's confusing the children. So Jeremiah 13 and 23 says, can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? It says, then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. So Esau is just known by nature to do evil, because that's his spirit. The Lord made him to be perverse, and that's the way he's going to be until he's eradicated off the face of the earth. He's never going to change, He's never going to change, man. The only thing that's changed in society with this devil is the clothing. But he's still got the same attitude, same rhetoric, same spirit of evil and wickedness that he had from his inception, And that's never going to change, man. So this last precept I'm going to read and then close out. It's Ecclesiasticus 10, and I'll start from verse 7. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and man. It says, and by both doth one commit iniquity. Yeah, and pride wasn't made for man, as we read in that previous precept, Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. These devils are utterly proud, but pride wasn't made for man. But this is the main reason why the Lord's going to destroy these devils, because of that pride as well. It saith in his heart, who shall bring him down to the ground, like it tells you in Obadiah. So these devils are very stiff. They got that stiff upper lip, and they think they can even defeat the Heavenly Father and his Son. They're actually going to try and fight the Lord, Yahweh Shai, when he comes with the chariots and the angels, man, and the so-called UFOs. They're actually going to try and fight the Lord in the sky and the heavens, man. That's how proud these devils are. So that's why the Lord's going to obliterate them and their armies. Verse 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, which that's how this devil made himself fat as the heifer. He made himself rich in this lifetime and generation. That generational wealth through the transatlantic slave trade, enslaving the 12 tribes of Israel. It says the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Yeah, so they're going to lose their grip on the world, they're going to lose their power, and the Lord's going to relinquish that power and give it unto the children of Israel, which is starting with the elect. It says, why is the earth and ashes proud? There's none more wicked. There's not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. There's no one more covetous than the Edomites, man. That's why they can't keep their grubby hands to themselves. They're always coveting and plotting to take other people's resources, lands, put nations, other people into debt under their fraudulent banking system, So people are getting fed up. That's why everyone's getting ready to basically drop bombs on America and its habitation very soon, man. Those nuclear missiles are going to be flying from north, east, and south and west towards one destination, really, which is America, to burn that place with fire. And that land of Israel needs to be cleansed also, man, because of them gutter rats that are over there defiling the Lord's land. Talking about blowing the shofar horn and as I saw a video recently, they was blowing the shofar, a horn and all that, acts like they're the most holier than thou people, and they're actually the chosen people of the Lord. They're a bunch of imposters, man. The Lord's not dealing with these devils, man. Their sacrifices are an abomination unto the Lord. It says there is none more wicked than a covetous man. For such an one setteth his own soul to sale. It says, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. And Esau, as I said, they're the weakest specimen on the earth. They're a bunch of sellouts anyway in the spirit. And they're definitely not their brother's keeper. As Cain said in the garden when the Lord was inquiring what happened to his brother. He said, one of the main things he said is that am I my brother's keeper? It shows you the mindset and the wicked nature of these so-called white people, man, when they came back in the reincarnation as Esau, Edom. And even when Jacob was on the scene and he received the blessing, what's the first thing Esau said? When his father was about to die, after they received their blessing, he said, after my father passes, he wanted to murder Jacob. And that's been the MO of the so-called white man from then up until now, man. For thousands of years, he's been trying to conspire ways to how to destroy Israel, man, to destroy his brother Jacob, because we got the birthright, So these devils, man, their cookies are coming home to roost very soon, and before we know it, they're going to be in chains where they belong, and they're going to be in servitude, man. They're going to be in slavery. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. There's no negotiations with that. So, here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And the saints are the only true saints are the children of Israel, starting with the elect. So anyway, with that, hopefully brothers edified. We'll close out. Give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, and Shalom to the hopeful, sincere elect.